we need to talk. So if you're watching this when it comes out, Halloween is almost here, which means that an even scarier time is about to be upon us. Early November. Now I know what you're thinking, this is not an election year. But actually it is, because every year is an election year. There's always something on the ballot, you always need to vote. The most disingenuous elements of our government especially like to use off years to inch things toward a more sinister direction when you think you don't need to worry about it, so that it'll slip under your notice. This year, a lot of states have ballot initiatives that need addressing. Important stuff is going down everywhere. And that's without even noticing Steve Bannon's announcement that Trump is appointed by God and going to be the God Emperor President in 2028. Even though he's already been elected twice. Oh sure, nobody can be elected to be president more than twice, but what if we just made him president? That wouldn't technically be a second election, it would just be unbridled tyranny. But unfortunately, that's not on the ballot. What is on the ballot is something they're going to try to use to make that a reality. Just another little piece of their agenda that they can squeak through while you're not looking. Something which would make life a lot harder for people who tend to vote against him, and therefore easier for people who tend to vote for him. I'm less informed about what's going on elsewhere, but here in Maine, we've got two big things on the ballot. Number 1, require voter photo ID and change absentee ballot and drop-box rules initiative. This is part of a nationwide campaign to secure elections. Even a very quick, cursory reading of this reveals a lot of issues. Maine is not the only state where something like this is going on. We've also got Nevada, North Carolina, and Wisconsin currently doing something like this, and it looks like 24 states also already require photo ID. This is being pushed as a make elections safe type of deal, which, like, I don't know if you know this, but America already has surprisingly safe elections. I wouldn't quite call them fair because we still deal with the Electoral College, gerrymandering. There are a ton of ways that Republicans have historically, up till now, and especially now, rigged the system in their favor. And this is one of those things. They're trying to do it again, harder than ever, especially because they are historically unpopular right now. Like, unbelievably unpopular. Except that it's... I shouldn't say unbelievably, because actually this is the most believable thing about their party, is how unpopular their measures make them. We've been living through Trumponomics 2.0 for about a year now, and it shows. A lot of people are waking up to what his deal actually has been this whole time. We've been saying it. I've been on this train since 2016. But now the formerly unreachable are being reached and starting to understand it. But what we really need is nuance. Because we like to turn our brains off. We like to stop thinking about stuff. We like to say, do your own research, and then not actually do our own research. We like to decide thing bad and then not look up why. For example, I was yesterday years old when I finally learned the nuance of what a red flag law actually does. And the fact that apparently we already have a yellow flag law, at least in Maine. And the difference between those two, they're both good things to have, but I only just recently learned the difference. And yes, for your reference, that is the other thing on the initiative this year. We got voter rights and we've got red flag laws. Both of these are considered to be very tight races. That is, they're neck and neck. It could be decided by as few as one vote, in both cases. If your vote doesn't matter, why are they working overtime to keep you from casting it? Voter ID laws are usually not based on honest efforts to improve the voting process, but rather to discourage people from being able to successfully vote. And the primary problem with this initiative is the restrictions on voting by absentee ballot, which, as you shall see, are a little bit crazy. I need to stop using that word. They're important. Basically, getting an absentee ballot will be much more difficult and require extra paperwork at every stage, because, you know, you don't do enough paperwork already in your life. At least that's what they think. Those most affected will be those who rely on help to acquire and to deliver their absentee ballots. seniors, and people with disabilities that prevent them from being able to vote in person. Also, anyone incarcerated will be effectively unable to vote. And before you say, well, then they shouldn't have done crimes, I would remind you that stealing a loaf of bread is still a felony even if you are starving, and that the people who steal the most in this country run it. What's really crazy to me is that they want to limit ballot drop boxes to 1 per municipality. 1. So if it's in the middle and you live on the edge, then you have to drive all the way in, like what? How big is a municipality? Is it 50 miles? I have no idea, but it's bigger than a street block, I can tell you that much. You all have to drive in and drop it in person yourself. Because one of the other things they're also doing is prohibiting family members from requesting and delivering absentee ballots on behalf of others. So your homebound grandma who cannot leave has to cast the ballot herself at the box. Like you cannot deliver it for her. This is just a rob elderly people and disabled people of their vote thing. You will eventually be old. Okay, unless you're dead first. You will eventually be made unable to vote by this if you live long enough. Oh, and also they want to ban prepaid postage on return envelopes. If I'm understanding it correctly, what that means is that even if they put the ballot in the mailbox to go back, it won't necessarily go unless they've also paid postage themselves. Because why should voting be free in a constitutional republic? So yes, in terms of things that affect you personally, off-year elections can be just as important as presidential ones.